it's like 4 a.m. in the morning, and I'm in my car expressing a thought because I can't do it inside the house because everyone's asleep and they get enough of my voice while they're awake, so I have to do this here. Just a quick thing I wanted to share. My Dan was in the car with the other two kids, and he asked me, "Daddy, if I believe in myself, I can achieve anything, right?" And you know how kids do the right? It's like, affirm me, give me merit, because I need it. And in my mind, I didn't even have a choice in what I wanted to say. I just knew immediately what I needed to say. And the answer was no, son. There are things that are impossible and you will never achieve. There are people on this planet that will pray for food and never get food. There is going to be some people that will pray for loved ones to get healed and they never will get healed. And that's just the truth of it. Not everything is possible. And you will come across certain things in life that just don't work, no matter how hard you try. It's just not ever going to work. Now, what's interesting is I think after just saying that, most people would say, dang, that's kind of early to be dropping that ball on your kids. But and those that know me well know that I have been training them to think conceptually and abstract for a while and I work with them to the best of their ability to think that way. And all my kids have a lot of principles already internalized in their consciousness. So I didn't want to sound like I was blunt just to burn them for thinking a certain way or feel high and mighty simply because I'm older than them. You know, it's a huge thing for a parent to protect their innocence. I mean, the world is already going to crap on them. And when you say something that is that aggressive and that unfiltered, you want to make sure that you're not doing the crapping on them. Because, I mean, the world is already going to be a harsh environment. It's already going to challenge them on many different levels. You just want to make sure that you're on the nurturing side of their reflections of you. You don't want to be part of their hostile side when they reflect on you. So I had to rebound, if you will, and I walked them through it. I walked my kids through a step-by-step questioning of listening to their opinion and seeing and helping them discover and create answers for themselves. So in order to rebound, I asked, okay, well, why do you think people fail then, Dan? And Matthew interrupted and he said, oh, people fail because they don't work hard enough. And I was like, that's one possibility. That is a possibility of why some people fail. And then I asked Dan, do you think someone with no legs will ever be able to walk? And he was like, no. And I said, so walking is just an impossibility for this guy. I mean, so far as we know, in the history of the world, like if a person has no legs, they simply just don't walk. That's the only repeatable understanding that we have. And I said, is life fair? And then Dan said, oh, no, I know life's not fair. Fairness is going to bring you sadness if you look for it. And I'm like, oh man, great. Yeah, that lecture that we had a couple months ago is really starting to stick in. I mean, there's some people that are in their 30s and don't get that. And now my 7-year-old has successfully obtained that wisdom. Okay, so great. All right, so life's not fair. We get life's not fair, and that is the reason why not all things are possible. So let's work on what is possible. Let's not focus on shooting for something that is impossible. And then I looked to Matthew and I said, what is it that I always tell you that said about strengths and weaknesses? And he was like, well, everyone has different strengths and weaknesses. And knowing the weaknesses is equivalent to knowing your strengths. And I was like, yes, oh dude, I'm dad here and I could just be an autopilot on this one. I don't have to go into an hour-long lecture. I can go back to talking about the new Dragon Ball Z with my children in about 5 minutes instead of having to sit here and lecture for about or not lecture, but like, guide them for about 45 minutes. I was like, dude, they are on the ball. They really got this thing. And, I was like, yes, Matthew, that's right. Knowing your weaknesses is equivalent to knowing your strengths. They're both the same. There's not one that's more important than the other. They are exactly the same because you need both of them to win. And I looked at Titus and I said, who are you trying to beat in this life, Titus? And Titus goes, myself. That's right. You are always trying to defeat yourself. Make no mistake about it, that the opponent in this life is you. Anything beyond that is just used to measure you. So I've always told them that you are trying to defeat yourself in this life because yourself is the only thing that's in the way between you and what's in front of you. And so I asked Dan, what are some strategies into defeating yourself, into understanding yourself? He was like, oh, like what we discussed last time, I have to control my anger or it leads to madness. So together, me and Dan made this chart of how to control his anger because Dan is a fierce competitor. I was a fierce competitor. This kid is on another I mean, anyone that has kids knows that your kids have the potential to be you magnified. And so this kid, he takes losses like hard. And so we had to create this chart together about what can we do in those moments when we feel that anger come up. And I showed him how if you get too depressed, you start thinking you're not worth anything. If you start getting too arrogant, you start thinking that you're worth more than other people, when in reality, nothing has changed. And you have to remain in this threshold of control. And so we established control. We established things aren't fair. And we established that not all things are possible. And we've also established that weaknesses and strengths are equal. And it's weird because now this was what happened today is a result of years and years and years and years of drilling the same thing. And the most important thing as a parent is to model the same thing. If I want to show them that I have to have control and grace under pressure, if I want to preach that to them, I have to show them as well. So it was just so in the flow. It was like zen. It was just so in the zone today. And finally, I was able to conclude and impart something even more. And it was great because it had all three kids' attention. There was an incident at the library where they bonded today because there was another child that they said, oh man, that's why daddy spanks me before, and it's weird because if you spank them hard early, you actually spank them less and less later on because you get their challenge out of the way. I have 3 boys. That testosterone is going to try to eat me. They will try. At first, they were challenging me on different levels to without their knowledge. It's biology. That's what they do. And then now that I've established myself as the alpha of the family for them to follow, now I can go in and take a seat back into the Barney mode, into the nurturing mode. So now the last thing I imparted on the children today was, okay, so now you see that life is not fair. Now you see that you cannot accomplish everything. And now you also know that the enemy that you're trying to defeat is yourself ultimately. So you always have to stay. And right when I said stay, Titus finished my sentence and he said, focused. And I was like, very good, Titus. You always have to stay focused and aware. Success. And then I just created something new and I imparted something because their minds were already ready to receive it. And I said, you are ready to succeed when you are aware of the mistake of your opponent. And they were like, oh, so we have to know our own mistakes and then we can succeed. And I was like, yeah, that bingo. That's it. That's it. That's what some people are going to spend the rest of their life trying to figure out. That's what some people are going to have to buy a Harley motorcycle and honk at teenage girls in order to find out. That right there. Oh my gosh. They're like 7, 6, and 13. And they understand that. Dude. Like, that's just a very exciting moment for me, as a father, to know that my dream of having my ultimate end game with these 3 boys is to have 3 daughter-in-laws that are so proud of being with my sons. And today was just a milestone. It was just like one step closer. I mean, they really they received it today, and to know why, to get a little bit closer on defining that purpose that they for themselves on this planet. They're at peace now with the fact that not all things are possible. They're at peace with the fact that failure will happen, and it's just part of a ongoing process of life. And they're at peace with understanding, that they always have to remain aware and focused on their own mistakes, so that way they can always fix them for the long run and become more efficient. Oh my gosh, as a dad, this is just, I'm high, on that. And this is what I live for, man. This is, some people, they seek money. Some people, they seek, merit, and they seek, accomplishments, and that's great. And, there's nothing wrong with that. But my accomplishments and my success is just stepping stones to my ultimate success of creating legendary men that walk this planet, dude. And like, that's, I cried earlier, man. I watched In and Out, that wonderful movie, cried at that. And I guess it just started, making it very, very easy, made my eyes loose. I mean, hey, real quick, those who haven't seen In and Out, that is an amazing film. It is right up my alley as a person that's like, oh, it's the art and you're trying to express this and that. Dude, it was phenomenal. I love it. I'm still brewing on it right now, and I'm still, it's still progressing my mind right now. And, I don't mean to sound like a hipster elitist to tell you that if you don't do this, like, you're going to die of cancer or something like that. I just highly recommend it. It was a good film. I mean, I'm just older now, and I just cry a lot easier at these dumb films. Like, I was just like, oh my God, my wife's like, oh my God, you're crying. And I was like, huh, what's going on? What is this? What is it? What is this? My Dan goes, are you crying, Daddy? No, I just don't understand what's going on. This is crazy. What? Man, what's happening to my face? Why is it coming out? And then, and now today again, it happened. It's mind blowing. Anyway, if you've made it to the end of this video, once again, thank you for listening to the ramblings of an old man. If you saw the length of this video, most people who see the length of this video will just turn it off, and that's fine. I get it. I can't express this in 6 seconds, and I can't compete with Vines anymore. But, yeah, man, that was awesome moment. 'Cause I was, just for me personally, and this, I'll end it at this. I was really mind-boggling. I was just boggled on how I'm going to teach the kids that lesson, because, I didn't know when, I was going to have to break it to them that not all things are possible in this life. And, it's a hard reality, a kid, if that fact is presented in a wrong way by the world, that kid can lose his innocence pretty quickly, and that can be detrimental for their progress. So I'm always thinking about that, that psychological sensitivity of my children. And I'm so glad I had that moment to where it was facilitated, and it was understood. The concept was digested by my children. I will test them, of course, just to make sure that it's maintained. But, same goal, man. Stick to those things that are precious to you, and focus on that, man. All right, one.